So those of you who follow what we do here in this office know that we deal primarily with the top bones in your neck, especially the topmost bone that your skull sits on, called the atlas. And the reason for that is all the other bones in your spine are pretty well locked together, pretty well interconnected, and don't really misalign in the way a lot of people think that they do. If you want more background on that, we've done a lot of videos about that, a lot of posts on Facebook about that, so check out our YouTube or our website or our Facebook page. You can find lots of information about that. But I really want to talk about just briefly the consequences of this bone misaligning. And people who do this kind of work, this upper cervical chiropractic, really believe that this bone misaligning can cause a wide variety of symptoms and conditions down the line. But there are three immediate effects of that bone misaligning. There's a structural or mechanical effect, there's an electrical effect, and there's a chemical effect. The mechanical effect is pretty simple. I tell people, if you imagine like I'm holding up a chain, like several link long chain. If I twist that topmost link, right, all the rest of the chain has to kind of move and twist with it, right? Can you imagine that happening? So the same thing happens when that atlas misaligns. If that top bone shifts, now your whole body underneath it, your spinal column and the whole rest of your skeleton and body attached to it, have to kind of twist up to accommodate that misalignment. When that happens, that affects pretty much our whole body. So all of our muscles are straining under those situations, our skeleton is strained under that situation, our organs get compressed, our lungs get compressed, our digestive organs get compressed. So that has the ability to really impact a lot of the way that we function. And a lot of upper cervical chiropractors like to really describe what they do in those terms. So that's the mechanical aspect of things. There's also the electrical aspect of things, and this is probably the most common explanation of what we do. Our brain is constantly, from the moment it develops in the womb until our last moment on this earth, is sending energy and information down to the rest of our body to control everything. So to control our heartbeat, our breathing, our hormones, our immune system function. Every single thing that's going on in your body, our digestion, is being controlled by messages sent from our brain down to our body. When that atlas misaligns, when that topmost bone misaligns, it interferes with the electrical message going from our brain to the rest of our body. So now when that misaligns, nothing is under the brain's proper control. All of those messages are being distorted and our body begins dysfunctioning. So that has a global effect on the whole body, and you can see why that atlas misaligning can cause problems really throughout the whole body. So many conditions that we experience here in our office. The last explanation of what's going on, immediate effect of that atlas misaligning, is one that hasn't been talked a lot about in the past, and that's because we're really just starting to understand it and the consequences of this, and it's probably going to turn out to be the most significant as we continue studying it and understanding it. And that's the chemical aspect of things. I don't mean hormones and things like that. I mean a chemical called cerebral spinal fluid. That's the fluid that bathes your brain and bathes your spinal cord, and it's always circulating and moving. And it has several purposes, but one of its most important is it basically works as a filtration system for your brain. So because your brain is an organ and it's working, it has waste byproducts, just like every other living thing creates waste byproducts. And it's your cerebral spinal fluid's flow constantly through your brain and through your spinal cord that is responsible for clearing out those waste byproducts. So it's really a lot like a pool filter. As long as that water is cycling and circulating, the filter is catching everything as it goes through, however many times an hour. Exact same thing is happening with our brain. Recent research that the medical world is doing together with the chiropractic world is showing that when that atlas misaligns, that fluid is no longer able to circulate and really flow through the brain the way it's supposed to. And what happens as a result of that is the accumulation of all these waste byproducts, where our brain essentially becomes poisoned. And what the research is doing right now is showing a very strong link between that buildup of debris and the occurrence of conditions like multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, different forms of dementia. Anything where the central nervous system, the brain itself, is being affected and deteriorating and showing these buildup of waste materials are being implicated in this. So really exciting research going on right now. Some very brilliant people putting all these pieces of the puzzle together, which explains what we already know here clinically, which is that people with those conditions, do very well. But now we're starting to really understand why. So this chemical component, I think, is really a big part of the future of understanding what's going on here in an upper cervical chiropractor's office. So I'm going to be spending the next few weeks breaking some of that down in philosophical terms and scientific terms, give a real broad understanding of what's going on there, in the hope that, you know, some of you who know some of these people can be helped and be able to spread the word and share this message. So again, keep following us on YouTube, on Facebook, our website. We'll put all that information in the link here below, and we hope that you stay tuned for some of this great information coming up.